Hey, everybody. Randy Patterson here. Let me ask you a question. What do you think that Mannfred Mann's Earth Band, which you remember Blinded by the Light, the Bruce Springsteen song they recorded, The Firm, Jimmy Page's band, AC/DC, Asia, and Tom Jones. What do you think all those acts have in common? And I'm serious, the Tom Jones. This man that you see the silhouette of behind me, Chris Slade, world-renowned drummer. He's played for all those acts and others and is phenomenal. And he has a brand new 2 CD album called Timescape with his band Timeline. And what it is it's basically a re-recording of the songs that he's been involved with throughout his career, with the exception of Tom Jones songs. And I can almost understand why. But I got the opportunity to talk to Chris. He was over in the UK, and I was here in the Smoky Mountains, and we just had a blast chatting with each other. He's such a great guy, so much fun to talk to, phenomenal drummer. Check out all of his work online, but more importantly, get this album. It's actually a 2-album set, so you're going to absolutely love all the work he's put into it. It's phenomenal. You'll recognize some of the songs too, so it won't be like it's totally new to you. And while you're at it, would you please hit like on whatever platform you're watching or listening to this on, as well as subscribe to us. Both of those aren't going to cost you anything. And would you please share it with your friends and ask them to do the same thing? Again, it doesn't cost you anything, but it helps Boomerocity out tremendously. So without any further ado, here's my first of what I hope are many more interviews with great rock and roll drummer Chris Slade. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hi, Randy.
Hello, Chris. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm a bit late, I'm afraid.
You're no problem at all.
Oh, I like your backdrop.
I thought you might. I thought you might like that. So,
Yeah.
where are you dialing in from?
Say again?
I said, where are you dialing in from?
Oh, UK.
Oh, okay, cool.
Kent in the UK.
I see. Well, I'm up in the Smoky Mountains, way down south, as Sir Paul said many years ago.
Oh, right.
So I'm a couple miles from Dollywood. You've heard of that, no doubt. So
yeah, absolutely. My daughter used to live around that area, so I used to drive around there quite a bit.
Oh, well, I'll be darned. Does she still live near here?
No, she's in Seattle now. She lives in Seattle.
Oh, okay. But the other side of the country. Wow. So
yeah. Well, her family are military, so her husband and everything was, so they move around quite a lot.
Well, I can imagine. Yeah. But well, hey, before we get started, I want to thank you for all the years of great music, all the rhythm you put behind a lot of the stuff I've listened to growing up and then in my so-called adult years too. And I want to thank you for your contribution to that, man. It's all been wonderful. And to finally be able to meet you is a big honor and pleasure of mine. So thank you for taking the time.
Well, thanks very much indeed. I appreciate that. I really do.
Well, the pleasure
was all mine, by the way.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was a lot of fun too. One thing I was going to ask you before we get into your new album, looking over your career, gosh, from Tom Jones to AC/DC and everything in between. What a unique blend of work. And
that's one way to put it. Yes.
And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing a Tom Jones cover on this new album. No Tom Jones on here? What?
So. No, I'm afraid not. No. Change that. He's a bit old-fashioned now,
Yeah, that's true. The size of the bloomers thrown on stage are a bit larger now, too, I'm imagining. But
So am
Typically,
I a bit old-fashioned,
yeah,
actually. There you
well, what used to be cutting edge is now old stuff for both of us, right? So, but
Yeah, well, the retro seems to be coming back, man. So I
yeah,
hope it's true.
yeah, well, I think so. That's why I do what I do, talking to classic rockers such as yourself. One thing I was going to ask you, I mean, I grew up as a huge Elvis fan, and the first concert I ever attended was Elvis in 1973. I was 13 years old and
Wow.
saw in Phoenix, Arizona. Got to meet the Colonel, and I say he was my first celebrity interview. I saw that you had met him when you were working with Tom. What were the circumstances on that? I'm curious.
Um, Elvis was a big fan of Tom's,
Right.
and he came to a few shows. I'd met him before. He came to Hawaii with his wife at that time.
Hmm.
This time he was on his own. Um, and he was, they became friends for many years, I think possibly even decades.
Hmm.
Um, and it was a mutual admiration society, because Tom grew up with Elvis, so to speak,
Hmm.
audibly at least. And it was a mutual admiration society. Uh, and they were just good friends.
Hmm.
Now, Tom has never taken drugs, and neither have I.
Hmm.
So we first met him in Vegas in his pre-drug days.
Right.
I don't think he was even drinking at the time. Um, so we went to, he invited us to a party. It was a very small party. It was just Tom and a few of us, I say us, with Tom.
Hmm.
And Elvis is with the Memphis Mafia, the guys who were always around him.
Right.
Um, and it was very low key, and we had a few beers and a few sandwiches, and that was it. A little while later, I met him again, and he offered me a job as drummer.
Oh,
And that's a fact.
wow.
And long story short, I was touring with Tom, so I couldn't make the rehearsals all the time. And then Joe Esposito, who was his right-hand man,
Right.
and Colonel Parker, I think, said, well, just let us know what you're doing, which I did. And in the end, Tom's tour kept getting extended. I told Tom all about this, by the way. It wasn't anything I kept from Tom.
Right.
And he didn't like it very much, of course. And I think in the end, Gordon Mills, who was Tom's manager, went to Colonel Parker and said, you can't steal our drummer, Of course, they didn't pay me anymore, but behind the scenes, I think that was the case.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen. Otherwise, you might have seen me in 1972 when you went to see Elvis.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
going to be me and Ronnie Tutt. Ronnie doesn't even know about this, I'm certain.
Ronnie passed away, I think, a year or so ago.
Oh, did he? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. Yeah. He passed away about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years. And
Oh, wow.
as far as the band goes, the TCB band, the only ones I think are still alive are James Burton, Jerry Sheff, and
Jimmy
Glenn D.
Burton's still alive?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
great guy. I saw him at a fundraiser he did in Nashville just before the pandemic shut everything down, and still doing well. He had a bout with cancer, and he's come back from it. But it's him, Jerry Sheff, and Glenn D. Harden, the keyboardist, and some of the backup singers are still alive. But James Wilkerson's dead. Charlie Hodge is dead.
So
And
I
of
never
course,
had the
Ronnie
chance
Tutt.
to talk to Ronnie about this because
No,
I'm sure he didn't know anything about me being asked first. They said, "Oh, we'll get somebody in and they'll do the rehearsal, and then you do the shows." Then it
right.
was, then it was, well, we'll have you and Ronnie playing drums together. And I went, great. I knew of Ronnie because he was on the Andy Williams show on TV.
Mhm.
So I knew he was a great player. So it never happened, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The biggest professional regret of my life, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Well, I think things work out the way they're meant to be sometimes, and your resume certainly wasn't hurt by not being on there. I mean, everybody else you've worked on, gosh, great acts, and big presence on the soundtrack of my life. So either way, man, you've done quite well. I mean, Mannfred Mann's Earth Band and Uriah Heep and Asia. When you were with Asia, was Robert Berry playing with them when you were with Asia, or was he?
No, it was Jeff Downes and John Payne.
Okay, gotcha. But
and the guitarist called Guthrie Govan, who is tremendous, probably the best guitarist ever, in my opinion.
Well, who haven't you worked for besides Elvis that you would love to work for or with sometime before you put away your sticks?
You've got to go where you're invited to go. You can't go anywhere if you're not invited.
True.
So some people say to me, why did you take the career path that you took? Why didn't you go with Led Zeppelin? People don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
You could have somebody come up to you and say, would you like to play drums with Blogs? It starts next Wednesday. That's got to happen. You don't just walk up to someone and say, excuse me, you don't know me, but I like to play drums with you. Yeah.
Step aside, Jason.
So, people have a very strange, some people, have a very strange view of how the music business works.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Boy, tell me about it. But
yeah. And
I think a lot of people don't realize, in addition to what you just said, just how hard it is to do what you do. It's hard physically, it's hard emotionally, certainly hard financially, unless you get into that upper echelon like you have. But it's still tough. It's still tough. I mean, especially for a drummer, you got a lot more gear to haul around than the lead singer does, right? So
yeah. It's funny, the number of singers I know that wanted to be drummers in the first place. Tom Jones wanted to be a drummer. Brian Johnson of AC/DC wanted to be a drummer. And there's so many others. And Brian said, well, I couldn't afford the fucking drum kit, could I? So I bought a microphone instead.
Steven Tyler started off drumming and then
he did.
singer.
Yep.
Yeah. So Joey Kramer.
I knew there were a lot more that wanted to be drummers. But that's good in some way because they obviously have timing, which is so important for a musician, isn't it? It's just, some don't have. Was it, how can you tell when the singer's knocking on your door,
What brand of drum do you play?
DW.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Robert,
they're fantastic.
Yeah. Rob Shanahan is their photographer for their signature lines. And he's Ringo's photographer too. So, but anyway, good guy. I don't know if you've met him, but
I don't think I have. I'm not sure, but I don't think I have.
So this new album of yours, wow, what a phenomenal 2-disc set. Tell me the story behind it. What led up to you putting this thing together?
Well, we've always recorded covers. AC/DC, Uriah Heep, whatever. Whenever we've had time, we've always gone in the studio. And side 2 is played live, but into a desk.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we play exactly like we play live, but just put through a desk properly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the idea of the band, if you like, was for me to play my career. And I wanted musicians who could switch from AC/DC to Tom Jones, or even want to switch from AC/DC to Tom Jones.
Right.
Some people go, I can't play that. I'm a heavy player. I can't, or I'm a jazz player. I can't play that, So and I knew these guys before, and I sort of went to see them. They were working in a pub playing covers, but the covers they were playing were Genesis, Kansas,
Wow.
vocally as well. So, I mean, I knew they were more than capable of playing my career, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 2.5 years ago, I found I could write melodies. I'd never written a melody before in my life of any kind. I'd written lyrics, but not melodies. And they suddenly just came out of the blue, honestly.
Wow.
Just, and I started going, la, da, 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 dee, dee, da, da, to Mike, the keyboard player. And he would translate that into gibberish. And I speak 2 languages, gibberish and rubbish.
You can be president here.
Yeah, I speak it very well. Better than Mr. Biden. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to say that.
Neither did I. So,
that I found I could write lyrics in the 70s, actually, which, so 2 of the things, 2 of the songs on the Originals album is Questions is one, which was an Earth Band song,
mm-hmm.
and Joybringer, which was an Earth Band song. And they've both been hit records. And I wrote the lyrics, so I figured that's original enough to me. So I put it on the original side. And, that being both hit records, I figured at least people would be interested in them,
Mm-hmm.
And that was before Blinded by the Light came along as well, for Earth Band. So we've been doing this recording for 10, 12 years. We've been together 10, 12 years,
Wow.
timeline. And we still talk to each other. It's amazing, really.
Longer than most marriages, so.
Yeah, there you go. And so I found I could invent string lines and bass lines and guitar lines, and the guys would interpret, because they're such good musicians, they would interpret my mumblings, and it just worked out like that. And I'm just so pleased with the result. I just couldn't be more pleased. It's impossible. I'm just so surprised and pleased to see underneath the song, writer Chris Slade. It's a big kick for me, even at my age.
Do you find that with that approach and working with the guys you have on this album, that it was, and I don't know if this is not to cast any shade to anybody else you've worked with, both known and unknown, but do you find that egos were less of an issue, or sensitivities were less of an issue because of personalities involved and all that? Did you find that things were much more harmonious taking the approach that you did on this album?
I don't go and make bad vibes with anybody. I try not to.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be working this long with people if I did create bad vibes, or if they created bad vibes anyway. I wouldn't want to necessarily work with them if they were very autocratic, as some people can be, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was a band decision that I should sing Time Flies, for instance. I've never sung lead in my life. I've always done vocal backing.
Mm-hmm.
I've done vocals on stage and on disc all my life, I suppose. And I know I can sing in tune, but obviously I can sing in tune, but I haven't got a voice. You know, people have voices. Paul Rogers has a voice. Tom Jones has a voice, a recognizable voice.
Right.
You know, most singers do. You know that Steven Tyler's singing. You know, and I don't have that. So I figured I won't be a singer. Why would I want to be a singer when I'm playing with Tom Jones and Paul Rogers, two of the greatest voices ever, you know, in this business. So to be given the go-ahead by my own band to sing this myself, when we have two singers as well. We all sing, but we have two main singers on stage, which is Stevie G, and he also plays bass, and Bun Davis, who does the AC/DC stuff. And he uses his AC/DC voice on Timeline to great effect, I've been told by many, many people. Of course, he wouldn't be there if he couldn't. But he sang Sundance with his, if you like, normal voice, and Back with a Vengeance with his AC/DC voice, along with James Cornford, the guitarist. They co-sung it, if you like. So we make the most of our assets. You know, that's the name of the game. And we always play for like 2 hours if we can, every show. And it's half AC/DC and half Uriah Heep, Earth Band, you know, anything else. The Firm, which is Jimmy Page, of course, and Paul Rogers and Tony Franklin. And so to me, it's I'm playing all the music I enjoy playing. And this CD or this recording is sort of evidence of that. And that's the way we do it live. Half this, half that. And we, you know, people are only disappointed after 2 hours when we say, this is the last song, folks. They go crazy. They go crazy.
Well, I know with all the list is amazing. And I'm not asking you for your favorite song. I'm asking on this question, what would you point to as a calling card for this 2-disc set? Is there a song that you would point to say, hey, if you like this, you're really going to love the rest of the record, or both discs of the record?
That's difficult because it's so diverse, the album. It reminds you of an Earth Band album because it's diverse. But Time Flies, not because I'm singing it, but it came together so well at the end of the day. It started with me doodling on a piano, da 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 da. And I said to myself, what if the other bit was an echo reply? And that's how it grew. And it just grew and grew, and very organically. All the songs did. And it was a shock to me. Where's that coming from? I don't know where that came from. So I thought of that. And I'm thinking strings. You know, it seemed very strange to me, but it all worked. I've always liked strings with rock music, you know? I've always liked that. So this to me is a culmination of me thinking my whole life. So, you know, it's like Picasso said when you do a thing for a restaurant, they said, you know, you paid for the whole night for that little drawing that took you about 5 seconds to do. He said, that didn't take me 5 seconds. It took me 80 years. And that's my analogy, actually. That's my whole life's work. And I'm writing again. You know, this week I'm writing. So it's become a bit of an obsession, actually. If I hear a
Good.
car going past, going, meow, I go, oh, I'll put that in somewhere. Meow. It's true. You
Good.
know, you're a plane in the sky and it goes, I go, that's a good note. Where can that go?
Hey,
And
it's
it's true.
it is true because the strangest things start great music. I mean, look at Buddy Holly, right? And crickets, and
I
all
was a
that.
big
So,
fan, of course. He's
yeah,
my generation.
yeah, yeah. So, um, so I know the album is just about to drop. I've got to listen to it. I know others have. What's the feedback so far that you're getting from those who've been able to get an advance listen to?
I've been absolutely overwhelmed with praise, to be honest. And
Good.
it's surprising. I'm not used to that, you know. um, you usually get the trolls online
Yeah,
going, "Who does he think
chickens.
he is?
Yeah,
He was a drummer for a few years with AC/DC, and now he thinks he's a rock star." You know, that's rubbish. I've always said I'm not a rock star. I'm a rock musician. There's a big difference.
that's right.
Pagey and Gilmore are rock stars and also great musicians.
Hmm.
I don't consider myself a rock star in any way. Uh, and I hope I'm never considered to be a rock star, to be honest, because it brings up strange connotations, to be honest,
Yeah.
to me. Now, Gilmore and Page are great people, but some rock stars are not, are they?
Nope.
Um, and that's just people. People
Yep.
is people to
Yep.
me. And I've always had that since, probably since the 70s. People is people.
Yep.
And we are good and we're bad. And sometimes we're very, very strange. And that's people.
Yep. I know you get asked this a lot, but of all the groups you've worked with, Earth Band, The Firm, Gilmore, Uriah Heep, on and on. Any talk or any chance of you working again with any of those people to resurrect, those days again for even just a brief period or anything? Anything in the works on any of those?
I've found that you can't go backwards.
True.
You'd like to have a time machine. You can't. The Firm were going to go back together one time. And and Tony, everybody was up for it. And then this unknown band got in the way. It was called Lead something. Oh, Led Zeppelin.
Lead
That's it.
Beatles. Lead
Yeah.
Beatles.
So
Something like that.
it was Lead Beatles. That'd be a good one. Um, um, so that all fizzled out because they were going to tour as well. That was going to be the start of a tour. But it didn't happen. I think Robert Plant didn't want to do it anymore. And he's done amazing stuff since, of course, we all know that.
Yeah.
I think Pagey stopped working completely. I'm not sure about that.
Really? Wow.
But
Well, I know he's working a lot on the Zeppelin, brand and the,
yeah, he's doing
remastering
mixing.
and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, remastering, remixing, stuff like that. Yes. I mean, that's that's his chosen field, if you like.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't he? If he
Yeah.
Zeppelin were just unique. They are, some of my favorite records, personally.
They didn't ever sell their catalog yet, have they? I mean, I don't know if they own it, but
I don't know. I
yeah.
really don't know any of that stuff. Floyd and Zeppelin are two of my favorite things, of course. Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah.
And it's strange going backwards. You can't do it.
No.
And I was going to call this band Time Machine in the beginning, but you can't go backwards. It's my timeline.
Yeah.
So, and I first heard that the Grateful Dead drummer wrote a book. one of his first, I think, and he talked about timeline. I'd never heard that phrase before. I know it's widely used now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on internet and everything.
Yeah.
But then I'd never heard of the word timeline. So it really, that's the first time it's ever entered my consciousness, which was probably in the 70s or 80s, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked the word timeline. So that's what the band became.
It works.
My
It works
band
very
became.
well. So what's on your radar? Are you going to be touring?
Yes,
what you have planned?
last Saturday, we've been together for 10, 12 years. We've been touring all the time, except COVID and, yeah. Saturday, I was in Lyon in France. We were in Lyon in France. 2 weeks' time, we go to Italy. Then we go to Germany. We were in Poland 3 months ago. Chechnya, I think that was last year, actually. But we work all the time. Usually weekends, because that's when the festivals and things are, especially in the summer.
Right.
I love to work. We travel in a van. We don't fly. I don't like to fly, but I'm not afraid of flying. I've flown all my life, but it's the 2 hours of security you have to go through these days that really puts me off. I don't
And
like to
things
do that.
get lost.
Absolutely, yeah.
Always funny how that
we
works.
lost that. Oh, really? Yeah, last time we saw it was in customs. Oh, was it? Oh, right. I went, did it? Yes. Ah, well, never mind. That's life.
That's why
Carry
you
on.
don't travel with vintage gear, right? So
No, right. And I can't travel with my Rocco Bus drum kit either.
yeah.
So that's why we drive. So we won't be coming to America very soon because we can't drive there. You might not know that, but we can't.
The road is a bit flooded, right? So
Yeah.
so
We
no
can't hold our
America.
breath. We can't hold our breath long enough. You know?
Yeah. Neither can I. But well, shoot, I was hoping you'd be coming over to this side of the pond and
I
lighting
would love
everybody
to.
up.
We would love to. You know, it's there's also that. Of course, I'm going there personally. I'm coming to the States personally myself. My daughter lives here.
Right.
One of my sons lives in Canada.
Hmm.
You know, I do visit, and I was there this year. I was in the States this year, in LA and Seattle and a few other places, Las Vegas. I used to live in Vegas and LA at
I
one
see.
time. So, and I've got a green card. The guys will have to go for visas. And that's the problem because there's horror stories of visas for tours turning up 2 months after the tour is supposed to finish. And it's happened more than once.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's, I think Canada would be easier for us to get to,
Yeah.
but that's not the States. I would love, and the guys would love to come to the States.
We would love to see you guys. Final question for you. And I know artists get asked this a lot, but I want to ask you just to see where your mind's at on this question at this stage of life, and that is when you step off of the tour bus of life up at the great gig in the sky to steal from Pink Floyd. How do you want to be remembered, and what do you hope your legacy is?
I like to be remembered for having a full head of hair.
Yeah, me too. Mine's going. So,
I'm being a great drummer. I mean, you know,
well, that
neither
you
of
are.
those things is going to happen. But I can hold my own with the drumming, but, you know, I'm no Vinnie Colaiuta, you know?
Yeah.
I aspired to that a long time ago, but reality kicked in, you know? So, I have friends who are tremendous drummers, and, you know, I got my place, but I can say now, I can say, oh yeah, my drumming's not so great, but I'm a songwriter.
I think you're great at both, so don't sell yourself short there. But
No, I try not to, actually. It's just that the trolls sometimes get the better of you.
yeah, ignore
And
'em.
I got a song on Timescape, which is called "Living the Dream," and you got to believe in yourself.
That's
That's
right.
the whole point of the song. And don't listen to anybody else, because if you don't believe in yourself, they will tell you you are useless,
Yep.
and or you're overweight, or you're underweight, or I don't know why you bothered picking up a guitar. You're useless. You're terrible, and the trolls will say that. So
Hmm.
you really got to believe in yourself, and I've always done that. I went to a good school, and they taught me to think for myself. So I did, and I left.
Well, you've done
Le-
well. You
I left school
you
completely.
left it completely. Well, it didn't hurt you any, did it? Well, good deal. Well, Chris, this was a lot of fun. Please know my door is always open to you whenever you've got a new
Thank you.
project coming out, and especially if you're working with John in the future. He and I work great together. I love the guy, and
Right. I met him in Vegas. He's a really nice guy.
yeah, he came out of the house, huh?
Yes, he did. Yeah. I had a few beers together. It
Good
was
deal.
really good. He was supposed to meet for an hour. I think we were there the whole afternoon.
Fantastic. Yeah, I keep threatening to fly out there and meet him myself, and I just haven't done it yet. But
He's a
but
very nice guy.
great guy. I've been working with him off and on for the last 12, 13 years. I love working with him. So you've got a great publicist there. And like I
Yeah.
said, my door is open to you anytime you've got a new project that you want help promoting. I'll do my part. I'm not Rolling Stone magazine, thank God, but I have a decent enough following, and it's growing every day. So I'd love to help promote you among those people. And I look forward
Great.
to seeing
Thank you.
more great work
I'll
from
come to you
you,
when my book comes out.
man. Pardon me?
I'll come to you when my book
All
comes
right.
out.
Are you working on the book?
I have been for the last 85, 90 years, actually. Um,
Well, finish it and get it published so we
yeah,
can
people
talk
keep
again.
telling me that.
All right, my friend.
Good one,
Well,
man. Lovely talking to you, and
likewise.
I'll talk to you again, I hope.
I hope so too. I hope so too.
Okay.
So let's make that happen.
All the best.
All right.
Bye for
Stay
now.
well and talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.